whenever you're ready.
Alright. So today I'm going to talk to you about why the government should create infrastructure for autonomous cars or self-driving cars, as they're also called. My first point I want to bring up is that Google has already created one in an article titled Google's New Self-Driving Car by Brandon Briggs, a Google employee, had said that Google has been demonstrating its driverless technology for several years by retrofitting Toyotas, Lexuses, and other cars with cameras and sensors. But now, for the first time, the company has unveiled a prototype of its own, a cute little car that looks like a cross between a Volkswagen Beetle and a golf cart. So by that, if a car is already on its way, the government should be ready to create infrastructure for it now. The reason I also think that the government should create infrastructure for it is because that these cars that drive themselves could increase safety. And through this, I read an article called "Self-Driving Cars for Testing Are Supported by the U.S." Autonomous cars could increase safety because they are not subject to human error, like disobeying traffic laws and falling asleep at the wheel, according to analysts, car companies, and the transportation department. So these self-driving cars basically are computers or robots that don't create mistakes like we do. Going on to create Google creating their first prototype, there are other big names in the technology industry want to be part of this self-driving community, like Intel. Just a few days after Google unveiled its self-driving car prototype, Intel is getting in on the automated vehicle industry too. Although there are challenges ahead, such as consumer adoption and cost, the potential here is massive. Not surprisingly, these companies want in. That was in an article called "Intel Wants In on Self-Driving Cars" by Samantha Kelly. Especially with companies like Intel, which are really big on the computer industry, the computers in these robotic cars are going to be much more dependable. And in another article I read called "Computer Reaction Times Are Much Faster Than Human Reaction Times," it goes on to say that inherently humans make mistakes. Whether it's a choice or an oversight, this will always be true. According to one government study, computer-operated self-driving vehicles will eliminate incidents involving alcohol, distractions, drugs, fatigue, speeding, aggressive driving, overcompensation, inexperience, slow reaction times, inattention, and various other human shortcomings. Showing that as a human we can get distracted. Sometimes if we're on medications or something, driving shouldn't be safe, so these self-driving cars actually help us and could save us in essence. Going on from that, like I said, safety increases dramatically. In another article, it says that accidents happen doesn't need to be accepted as a fact, as it already is. With computer-operated vehicles, the benefits are such that if only 10% of vehicles were self-driving, they could reduce traffic deaths by approximately 1,000 a year. And just by 10%, that's not very much on the roads today. And 1,000 deaths a year is an insane amount. Also, going on from that, people who aren't necessarily allowed to drive on our day-to-day basis or who are looked down upon driving, such as the elderly and disabled. Elderly and disabled people are able to drive wherever they want. Sensors and V2V communication are more accurate and less able to be distracted than that of a human driver. So a computer wouldn't necessarily get distracted as maybe an elderly or disabled person would. In an article called "The Pros and Cons of the Driverless" by Connie Tran, she actually interviewed a Cal Poly professor and Cal Poly engineering professor, McCarley, and he goes on to say, "You have predictable, courteous, law-abiding, and absolutely consistent driver in that vehicle. It's a robot, it's a machine." So if the maintenance was up, everything was running well, it's very consistent, and it wouldn't sometimes want to do this and sometimes want to do something else. So by having all of these advantages in that sense, a city will have less automobiles, but its citizens will use cars more often. even with peak demand, a smaller fleet of robot taxis than private vehicles can service commuter needs. So if you're commuting, even we go to a commuter school, just by using one of these, we could double up on cars, triple up, making the whole carpool idea even better and greater than it already is by reducing the cars on the road. Thank you.